I've chosen to ease into things with some new reporting about love. In a time of war, we need lovers, like Kristi Noem and her de facto chief of staff, Corey Lewandowski. As you know, I'm obsessed with love, so I follow these two hate birds, especially since they're not married. And their rancid love affair has been called by New York Magazine the worst kept secret in Washington, D.C. You know, like Lindsey Graham's worst kept secret. Remember I told you about how Corey and Kristi fly around the country in one of the two private jets the Department of Homeland Security purchased for their personal use. Each one costs at least $100 million. Each jet has a suite of rooms in the back, a cabin with private showers, and a bed. One bed, which the two of them allegedly share. Remember I told you about the Coast Guard pilot who Corey Lewandowski fired, allegedly, because the pilot was supposed to bring all Kristi and Corey's belongings to the limo, but the pilot forgot Kristi's favorite blanket, so Corey Lewandowski flipped out and fired the pilot? Remember that? Well, it turns out it wasn't a blanket. That was the cover story, at least according to the Daily Beast. I'll tell you what it really was in a second. In the meantime, try to guess. It wasn't a blanket. What do you think it was? Well, according to this book, Leaked, Corey Lewandowski is handing out multi-million-dollar contracts to Department of Homeland Security vendors, deciding who gets what. He's not even allowed to be working for the government right now since he has failed to disclose his financials. He's still listed as a special government employee, which means he's only allowed to work 130 days a year, but he's working full-time, breaking the law. And from what I understand, he's also breaking a couple of headboards inside those private jets that he's sharing with Kristi, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, Corey Lewandowski, who was arrested by Jupiter, Florida police for physically assaulting a female reporter, Corey Lewandowski, who has been accused of both sexual assault and sexual harassment by several other women, well, Corey Lewandowski is rumored to be having adulterous, unmarried, cheating heart, penile groinal sex with Kristi Noem. That's what we hear. That's what they say. And according to this book, they're impossible to work for. What a surprise. According to the book Leaked, top officials from ICE say during meetings they're too frightened to speak up for fear of getting dressed down from either Kristi or Corey, who then go back to their office and dress each other down while having alleged penile groinal adulterous sex, allegedly not married to each other, but married to other people. Let me give you an idea how disgusting Kristi Noem is. According to the book Leaked, Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, this is according to the book Leaked, Stephen Miller, of all people, is personally repelled by Kristi Noem. And he's married, Stephen Miller is married to this Meeskite, Katie Miller. The guy, Stephen Miller, who shares a bed with that hideous monstrosity, Katie Miller, even he finds Kristi Noem too disgusting. Look at this couple, the grotesque Stephen Miller and Drizella's ugly stepsister, Katie Miller. What an ugly, ugly couple. Here they are on date night, visiting their favorite after-hours slaughterhouse. Ah, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, so glad to see you. Your favorite gurney awaits you. 1 or 2 bone saws tonight. Even Stephen Miller, the most disgusting person on the planet, finds Kristi Noem repulsive, according to this book, Leaked. So why does Stephen Miller find Kristi Noem repulsive? Because he doesn't approve of her affair with Corey Lewandowski. Stephen Miller doesn't approve of adultery. Yes, the guy who invented the policy where mothers are separated from their children thinks adultery is an affront to his family values. Stephen Miller believes in monogamy. That's according to the book. Stephen Miller has openly said he doesn't believe married couples should cheat. Like Stephen Miller and Katie Miller have a choice. Like there are any options other than each other. Even blind people say they can smell how ugly Stephen and Katie Miller are. That's how ugly Stephen and Katie Miller are. Their ugliness has its own rancid odor. Stephen and Katie Miller leave a room and the stench of their ugliness lingers for days. Stephen Miller believes in monogamy. Like any other turtle on this planet would let him fertilize her eggs. Katie Miller is the only turtle on this planet that would allow him to fertilize her eggs. The thought of Stephen Miller and Katie Miller cheating with somebody else, what grotesquerie lurks in the shadows, willing to have sex with these two moral deformities? The answer? J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha. Anyway, according to the book Leaked, which is out in May, Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski don't even try to hide their adulterous, penile, groinal sex. Zero discretion, according to the book. One Trump White House official told the author of Leaked, "Oh yeah, they're still effing," but he said the word. Why do they keep effing? Because Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem are all about love. Lewandowski, according to the book Leaked, believes Alligator Alcatraz down in Florida is the gold standard for how all detention centers should be run. Flies, open toilets that don't work, no heat, no air conditioner. He says the crueler, the better. So, anyway, have you guessed what it was? I told you it wasn't the blanket. That was the cover story. Remember, according to the Daily Beast reporting on this new book Leaked, the blanket was a cover story, right? Corey and Kristi were on a Coast Guard flight. The pilot got fired because he didn't bring Kristi's quote unquote blanket to the limo. He left it on the plane. It wasn't her blanket. That's a cover story. According to the book, according to the Daily Beast, it was her bag of sex toys. Not her sex toy, her bag of sex toys. And it was Corey Lewandowski who fired the pilot for allegedly not bringing Kristi Noem's bag of sex toys. Instead, she left them on the plane. Remember, last Easter, she left her other bag with $4,000 in it while she was having her family dinner. Remember that? She can't keep track of her bags. She lost her bag of sex toys this time. And why would Corey Lewandowski be so upset? Well, I mean, there's nothing shameful about a bag. Nothing shameful about your wife, or not your wife, your mistress needing a bag, needing Santa's bag of sex toys. Why would that humiliate Corey Lewandowski? Why would he fire the pilot over Kristi Noem's alleged Santa's bag of sex toys? I mean, I wonder which specific toy Corey Lewandowski would be so ashamed of that the pilot would get fired. Which toy do you think it is? I think I know which toy it is, and it might explain why Corey Lewandowski's favorite Steely Dan song is Peg. Peg. Look at this picture of, of Corey Lewandowski. Doesn't it? He's saying, Peg, peg me. Look, he's got his back turned, and then he's tilting his head, presenting towards Kristi Noem with her Santa's bag of sex toys and asking her coyishly, Peg? Trump is also reportedly repulsed by Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem. Why? Well, I'm not making this up. According to the book Leaked, Trump finds Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem disgusting because during a meeting, he once caught them sipping from the same can of Coke. And he told people after they left, that's repugnant. Two people married to two other people sharing the same can of Coke. Trump doesn't approve. Unprotected sex with a porn star just weeks after your wife gave you a son, that's the height of marital decorum, according to Donald Trump. I mean, come on. What are you going to bring back to your marriage? Having unprotected sex with a porn star. Perfectly harmless. But sharing the same can of Coke with a woman you're not married to? Who does Corey Lewandowski think he is? Don Draper from Mad Men? Get rid of him, says Trump. Disgusting. That was the bridge too far, sharing a Coke can.